It's Sunday the 19th of August and this is Cock on Ball. I'm Dave.
And I'm Scott.
So we did it again.
Yeah, we're here. Two in a row.
Two in a row.
Two in a row, we're back.
We've had pretty good response. Some people have clearly remembered us.
Which is nice. Yeah, nice to think that
back in the swing.
Yeah, back in the day we had some kind of minor impact.
Yeah. Well, you know, that's not great. So quite a lot's happened this week, really, since we did the last one.
Yeah, quite a lot's happened with the stadium.
Yeah.
That was been the big kind of slightly disappointing news. I had a lot of FFS texts with people.
Yeah.
Which kind of went on a bit, but yeah, what's your considered view after a week since we've really found out, or 5 or 6 days since we found out?
I mean, as you know, I'm a Levy apologist, a sympathiser. As
you are an apologist.
Discussed last week. I mean, I kind of feel amazingly sorry for it. I mean, I think one of the things that's been debated at length is whether the club knew this was going to happen before.
I just can't see that being true.
I kind of can't see it being true. I think what is slightly bad is that I'm certain they didn't know back in July. I'm certain they probably didn't even know kind of like a month ago, or that was July, I guess. But like, you know, until fairly recently. The question is, did they know before the season actually started? Because that is the cut-off point according to the terms and conditions. Is once the first game of the season has occurred,
right?
You're committed, kind of thing. And it came out like the day after, or something, a couple of days after the season had started. So the cynics have really picked up on that.
Yeah, and I can see that view for sure. Because it is, you know, somewhat strange that they didn't know about critical safety issues just before the season started. I mean, I do think that from a kind of PR perspective, they would not want to get all these people to pay very, very high rates on their season tickets, tickets being so expensive, to do the fanfare around the 15th of September, the Liverpool game, that kind of thing, and then, but knowing that there was going to be a problem. I mean, I think it was probably good planning to have the Wembley option. Yeah. I think I can't remember quite in terms of the timeline, but this thing about this secret Wembley option until January. I mean, I'm not sure how secret it was. I mean, I think it was fairly clear there would always be some kind of plan just in case anything happened.
I agree. I mean, like you say, it just feels like good planning.
Yeah.
And I think it's probably more of a case of they just really, really hoped it would be ready and weren't going to announce that it wouldn't be until it absolutely definitely wasn't going to be. There's no point in making any kind of statement until you know that it's not going to happen. I think
that's the classic from a communications perspective. You wouldn't go out there and give dates and deadlines and say this will happen by this point and do, you know, test dates and all that. There was supposed to be a test date on Bank Holiday Monday, then another one, and then So
well, I'm interested in your point of view on this, the communications point in particular, because that, I think, when the dust has sort of settled on it all a little bit, and the supporters trust have got involved and done some really good work there, and I think
they've kind of done the work of the club.
Well, exactly,
which is depressing.
I know, and this is
great for them. I mean, well done.
Yeah, no, good on you guys. And I think this is where it's sort of landed now. I think everyone's fairly philosophical about what's happened with the stadium, what will be, these things happen, but it's the communication of the club that has really sort of come under fire and been most criticised. You work in communication, so I'm very interested to know what your view on that.
I was surprised. I've been surprised at how poor they've been, actually. I think the number one thing here, it was interesting, even in the statement that goes out, there seems to be a lot more. They seem to care a lot more about the Premier supporters or the NFL than they were about your average fan. I mean, the cynic in me also thinks that, you know, we spent a lot of time getting this NFL pitch ready for the stadium. I mean, it's going to play what? 2 games a year for 10 years, it's 20 games, whereas we play 20 games a season and it's our stadium. And
how much might that have delayed it?
Well, quite. I mean, every time I went to see some kind of feed or went onto the website or to the Instagram thing, it was always like, here's the NFL pitch, and here's the retractable pitch, and here's what's happening in the NFL. And that made me, from a fan perspective, think, you know what, I kind of want the money that I pay into the club and the investment in time and energy and to go towards Tottenham Hotspur Football Club as opposed to the NFL franchise. However, I also see the long-term business side of that, and I think it's a very good thing for the club that you'll have, people, for Tottenham as an area and all that kind of thing. So I see that as a really good thing. But I do think that there has been a slight mismatch between fans who are effectively customers and the management of the club. And I think even Pochettino this week is almost like in the dark, and he was having to do a lot of the proactive, I'm as disappointed as the rest of you kind of thing, and that should have come from the club.
Well, he actually said this week in that press conference in LA that the stadium had affected our transfer policy, and that is actually at odds with what Levy said.
And there's been a lot of scrutiny about that this week in terms of that is a part, and that will have no impact on our. But you know what, things do change.
Yeah.
And I think Levy is held to account at a very, very, very high point by a lot of people, to the point where I do think, not to be an apologist for him, but I do think the level of scrutiny for him is quite, you know, it is every single word of every single thing, and maybe that's the way it should be. And
I mean, yeah, it does go with the territory. It's part of the job. He gets paid handsomely to do it.
Well, he got a massive pay rise,
which again is part of the whole kind of the bad feeling about the fans. It's like, he gives himself a big pay rise for delivering the stadium, and then doesn't deliver the stadium.
There's an irony somewhere there, which I can see. And I understand why people are annoyed with him. I understand why people are annoyed with the club. I do think the long term we're going to have a great stadium.
Yeah, I mean, it's big picture here, right? Yeah. Like, this isn't about this year or the next 5 years or the next 30 years. You know, this is about the next 100 years or so of the club. This is a big, big deal. And, you know, it's interesting comparing it with what's happened at Chelsea, for example, or what may or may not be happening at Chelsea. Yeah. But, you know, there's, on Twitter and the forums, you often see people sort of, you know, envious of Chelsea and wishing that we'd actually done that, and some people really seem to take the position that they'd rather we'd just invested that stadium money in players and won stuff rather than this kind of long-term legacy, particularly as I think a lot of people see the investment in the stadium as the business side of it and the commercial side of it, rather as being something for the fans. I think there's lots of stuff in that. I made a point on our Twitter this week that financial fair play has affected that. You can invest in your sort of infrastructure, in your facilities, money that you're not able to invest in players unless you can demonstrate that you've got that revenue to cover it and all that kind of stuff. So you wouldn't be able to do what Chelsea did today. But also, I think, you know, stuff's going on with Abramovich. There's this whole Russian visa issue thing. There is. The
stadium's been completely delayed.
Right, so the stadium's been delayed, and actually, when you like say he goes, and okay, that's scaremongering.
Delayed, you know, in a different way.
Yeah.
Properly, like shelved.
Yeah, shelved, totally.
Yeah.
And he's gone to live in Tel Aviv now. And there's even talk of him investing in teams in Israel and all this kind of stuff. So there's a possibility that Abramovich actually takes all his money out of Chelsea.
Who?
Abramovich. That's what I said, right?
We all watch it back.
He may take his money out of Chelsea.
Yeah, I think that's right.
And if he does, yes, he's bought them a lot of short-term glory. But what has he actually done to long-term invest in that club? The actual, you know, the training facilities, the youth, the new stadium, all the stuff that Levy's given to us gives us foundations for more meaningful long-term success.
I mean, from a football perspective, I mean, we've talked a lot about youth at Spurs and bringing on young players, and Pochettino's are very good at that. Whereas Chelsea have I
think Tim Sherwood actually takes all the credit.
Oh, sorry, obviously. Sorry, Tim. I think it's that when all Chelsea basically loan out all their players, like 50 players or something, some ridiculous number that I probably fewer than that, but maybe 35 players go out on loan across it's crazy that happens, and they'll just buy new players.
And how good is it for those players as
well? They are at the top of the league, so
just
by one goal.
We'll come to that.
Yeah.
But like, you know, take Kennedy for example. Like, you won't see a worse performance this season.
I haven't seen it yet. But I read very much.
I mean, it was just unbelievably bad.
Oh, I kind of love it.
Yeah, it was great. I mean,
he missed a golden chance against us last week as well.
Yeah, he made some sort of good appearances last season, but he's got a little bit of adulterapt about him. Like, just masses and masses of talent, somehow unable to actually apply it in a footballing context.
Yeah.
Like, but I think you also have to ask, would he have been? How good is it for his development and other players like him that have been through that Chelsea system and gone through these loans and not had that same consistent development? I mean, Pochettino now talks about how his way of playing football is being implanted through every level of our club.
Yeah, which
so that
Harry Winks was the
right.
great example of that. However, Harry Kane is the example of someone who has gone out and done 4 or 5 different loans and never thought,
Yeah, I think Harry Kane's
the exception.
Discipline of exception. Yeah. I think realistically, if Roberto Soldado had been the player we hoped he would and should be, I think Harry Kane would probably be playing for Millwall right now. Yeah, like I think there's a real stroke of luck
instead of banging them in for fun in August.
Yeah, we'll come to that.
Anything else on the stadium?
I mean, I think the only thing, just the final word on the Levy thing. I think there's no question. There's the phrase. I said no question. I think somewhere in the region of 8 times
really?
in the last.
I hadn't noticed.
Yeah, so little drinking game for everyone there. But yeah, he's made mistakes. The club have made mistakes.
Yeah.
He is accountable for all of those mistakes, if not directly responsible for them. I think there are other people involved in this, the PR team and all these kind of people, communications. But he's accountable, so fair enough. He takes the brunt of the criticism. But I also have a degree of sympathy for him. Like I'm sure he's having an absolute nightmare. Like
we've all had building work done.
Yeah,
and then always go 2 weeks and it will be done, and then 6 weeks down the line you're like, this is never going to finish.
And then they haven't got the right tools. They haven't got the right parts. They've got to wait for the
measurement. But again, I'm blaming
they left the van, and the van's parked on the other side of the congestion thing, and
it's all very difficult.
I know.
How? Yeah. Anyway, look.
I'm sure the idea that he's this kind of evil mastermind behind sort of taking all the fans' money and not, I don't know. I think he's having a mare, and I think as fans,
he is having a mare.
He's having a mare, right? And
definitely.
And as fans, I think he has done enough good for us in the last few years, particularly, but also since he took over the club. I reckon he's got enough goodwill in the bank for us to give him a little bit of a break over this. Personally, I think Levy out is over this stadium transfer window problematic summer is very harsh.
Well, I think the combination of the lack of players signing in the transfer window plus the stadium has meant that we've gone into the season in a very kind of really negative frame of mind. At the same time, you said what will be, and we ended up at Wembley and we won our 2nd game in a row.
Yeah, so
we'll come to that.
Let's talk about it.
So for all our problems off the pitch, we're doing very well on it.
Yeah, and it's amazing how quickly, like I noticed today, Twitter and the forums and everything, just awash with positivity. Really, all of those kind of, all of that kind of negative stuff. Very quick. It's a good job we did win those 2 games.
Yes,
because I think that really would have been horrific, particularly the game yesterday, which was fantastic. Yeah,
and it's nice that we talked before about being, we're just off the top, but winning the first 2 games of the season is, it's not often actually that we do. We normally start very slowly, and I think we have started quite. I think the Newcastle game we were quite lucky to win. I think there were moments yesterday which we looked very shaky at the back.
Yeah.
But I think overall, when you look at the overall game, and I think Pochettino was right to say that we dominated and we deserved to win.
I mean, we absolutely hammered them for the first, until they scored their goal. Really, we were the first half was all Spurs. I thought the first sort of 10-15 minutes we came basically the team he picked was incredibly positive. Went 3 at the back. Toby came back, which was good to see.
Yeah, it's nice to see that.
Rose on the bench, Lamella on the bench, Moura starting again.
Winks was on the bench as well.
Winks on the bench. Yeah, Dembele. It felt like the boys were back. Everyone was there, and we came out the blocks. Absolutely whatever that phrase is.
Raring to go.
Chomping at the blocks and the raring.
Champing at the bit.
Something. A whole kind of racing related metaphors mixed there. No, it was. We were very wasteful actually.
We did miss a lot of chances,
which is sort of not unusual for us actually.
It's the classic thing we found, especially at Wembley. Is that we found that until that first goal goes in, there's a real sense of anxiety. I didn't really feel it so much at White Hart Lane. There was always a bit more kind of like that because of that home comfort thing. And we are very much still away from home, which kind of puts everything else into perspective as well. That whole season away from home at Wembley, we started off really badly there last year, and we just developed. And we lost one after that first game against Chelsea. We lost 1 game, that City game, which we thoroughly deserved to lose. Actually, they were amazing that day. But apart from that, we've not really lost. We've had a few games in the Champions League. That Juventus game, we had Man U game, which was neutral territory apparently. But we've really acclimatised ourselves to that environment, and it's nice to see.
Yeah, we're certainly much better there, much more comfortable there. I agree with you. I think the Wembley curse has left a bit of a hangover.
It's still there.
Yeah, I think
even now.
Yeah, well, I think
even when we're 4-0 up.
Yeah,
we're still.
I'm not sure when that was last was, but like.
Yeah, maybe I can't remember.
But yeah, you're right. There is a nervousness, and I think it is a hangover from the Wembley curse. I think there is this kind of latent sense that sometimes we can't score there, even when we should. So yeah, it's once that first goal goes in, as a relief. We do have this nasty habit, I think, of conceding as well, which even with our kind of supposed best defence, more or less, maybe some debate about whether Rose is on his best form better than Davies. I think he probably is still, but whether we'll ever see Rose on his best form again, I think.
Yeah, I mean, what I liked is that what I like about Pochettino, and we haven't talked about him that much because we went missing for 5 years, but I like the way he adapts his formation, and he can play lots of different ways.
Yeah,
and it was never more in kind of evidence than yesterday, where he went the classic kind of 3-5-2, 5-3-2. Or it wasn't really that. It was almost like 3-3-3-1. Yeah,
although actually even up front, Moura was actually more
was going forward. Yeah, so
Kane was. It was. I don't know what you'd call that.
And he's a bit like a he's a bit like a new signing, even though we signed him in January.
Yeah. How many times can we use that phrase?
A bit like a new signing.
I think we could get it in at least three or four times this go.
Did we talk about it last time? We may have done.
No.
I don't know, but I think it's nice to see. It's like, well, he's given 2 games at the beginning of the season. He was rarely in the starting lineup last season.
Yeah.
And I think he was both kind of scintillating and wasteful at the same time.
I think we've seen this time and time again with Pochettino's signings. They need that second season.
Yeah.
Like you need the full pre-season. You need the acclimatisation to the fitness regime and the way that we play. And it really reminds me of Son's.
I was about to say
breakthrough season, and I'm really hopeful we're going to see that from Moura this season, particularly with Son in the Asian Cup, and unfortunately not doing brilliantly well there so far.
Well, they won their first game, but they lost the second. And we can talk about military service another time, but I agree that there's a chance that he could be that player. I mean, I think against Newcastle he was a bit disappointing, but his finish yesterday was brilliant. The goal really, ran onto it quickly. There was a chance early on though, he slightly overran it, but I think he's very direct.
Yeah.
I was reading there was a piece on the Guardian website all about him actually, which talked about his massive impact at PSG. So he started quite slowly there, but then he had a season where he scored 18 goals, and they were like, we're never going to let him go, kind of thing. And his star waned mainly because they bought loads of players.
Yeah, but Neymar in particular.
Yeah.
Kind of. Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. But I think we picked up a good player who's got European experience. I think he'll come in handy in the Champions League a lot. And it's nice to see. We played without Son, we played without Lamela, and those three, Kane, Dele, and Eriksen, can be supported by one of those other players, and that's great.
I mean, it validates certainly not spending 70-80 million on Zaha or Martial. I mean, I know it's a long season.
It's one game.
It's one game, but we said
I would have loved Zaha.
Well, we talked about it last week, and I still feel like between Lamela, Son, and Moura, we kind of got enough sort of pacey wing forward type players.
Yeah,
I think it would have been
Lamela's not that quick. He's very skillful.
He has these bursts, but I know what you mean. He was fantastic when he came on yesterday, by the way.
Full pre-season ahead of him. I think he was. I thought he had real flashes towards the end of last season. He was really coming back because I think the jury's still out on him, and I think that's.
But he's never had a full good season.
He had one full season before,
but I don't know if he really has had that season where all season we were seeing like really the top quality Lamela.
I think he's an exceptionally talented player, and I think he's settled now.
Yeah, I mean, he should be. He's been here for
like 5 years.
More, I think. Yeah, it's been a really long time.
I mean, he cost 30 million at a time when players weren't going for 30 million. I think the way his direct running, even though it's not that quick, his skill. I mean, there was the game the other day, maybe it's towards the end of last season, where he came on with like 5 minutes to go and held the ball. I can't remember this game. Do you remember?
No, I do.
He was. I can't remember the game. Someone will probably remind us on Twitter. He came on and just held the ball up, and he just in that last 5-10 minutes of a game where people were chasing it, and he just went into the corners.
Yeah, no,
had the skills.
You saw something yesterday as well. Like he did a brilliant substitutes role.
Yeah.
Of just kind of
impacts.
Yeah, exactly. And I think there's a bit of a question about whether he would ever start in our best team. He feels like a sort of squad player, but then again, at his best, I mean, like you say, he was a big big signing for us.
He's one of the only players we have who can do that little kind of through ball. He's got a great through ball.
He does. His assists are. Yeah. There was one season where he got that breakthrough season. He was our assist leader.
He did the same thing against Man City.
Yeah.
Do you remember when we won 2-1 up there? And Eriksen scored in the last 5 minutes. I think he came on as a sub again then, and exactly that little got it in midfield, broke it, and the little through pass to Eriksen was absolutely perfect.
No, he's really good. He still is divisive. People
definitely divisive because I think I can see why.
Yeah, I think I can. It's not even just the skill and all of that. He's also just got a really good attitude. He gets stuck in a bit too much sometimes.
He's a walking yellow card.
Guaranteed yellow card every time. But I also kind of like that about him. You know, he's a bit leery, and you know he gets other players rolled up. I think he's great personally, and I've also got a lot of respect for him for sticking around this long because he's had a tough time of it. He easily could have gone if he'd have wanted to go. I suspect we probably could have made our money back on him in terms of the market moving on. I'm sure an Italian club would give us our 30 million back for him.
He's still young.
Yeah, no, and I think I like him a lot, and I think the decision to not make any signings again, like when we're winning, obviously that validates that decision. The minute we lose, we'll reassess that decision, whether it's a decision or whether we were forced. It's debatable, but at the moment, we actually look like we've got some real depth as well as an excellent first 11, which is great.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. Question for you.
Yeah.
Christian Eriksen going to take off free kicks anymore?
I hope not. I said it on Twitter yesterday. I think Trippier's.
I mean,
okay, can we just talk a second about Pochettino's scary ability to turn fullbacks into world-class players?
I mean, Trippier's stock has risen so much since the World Cup.
I think he's arguably better than Walker at right back now. I mean, he's different. He doesn't have the pace, obviously.
Doesn't have the pace. Doesn't beat a man. But his crossing a bit. I mean, his crosses weren't that great yesterday, actually. But
there was a lot of joking around on Twitter about how he just kept doing these amazing crosses to nobody, just to sort of, just because he can,
just to show off.
Yeah. The volleyed cross is his speciality.
I mean, but it's very successful.
I mean, yeah. To be fair, not many people can do a volleyed cross.
Yeah, he did it to great effect last season. I mean, but his dead ball ability is fantastic. And you know, we picked him up for what, 3 million?
Yeah.
From Burnley, an absolute steal.
That was one of Mitchell's.
It's an absolute steal.
Brilliant signings, wasn't it?
And yeah, he doesn't have the pace of Walker.
Mitchell, who may well be on his way to Manchester United, according to the news this week.
Right, let's see.
Yeah.
But his free kick. I mean, when I saw it first up, I thought, brilliant. But then when I watched the replay later, from behind the goal, it was absolutely sensational.
It was perfect. Beckham does that, and it's one of those kind of classic free kicks that you see again and again and again. Yeah. It was basically the same as one he did against Croatia as well. Like, the minute I saw it, I was like, that's very familiar.
Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. And Kane should have had 4.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, again, with Kane now, it's a little bit like the Wembley thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's the same.
Self-fulfilling.
There's this just slight nervousness with Kane now that he hasn't quite. You know, it's a leftover from the end of last season. I think we saw it a little bit in the World Cup. You know,
it's amazing that, like, yeah, he gets a lot of criticism, but he wins the Golden Boot.
Yeah, sure.
Right, he gets a lot of criticism yesterday. He still scores a goal. You know, his goals to game ratio is insane.
And I'm not criticising. It's in the slightest. Like I think I literally don't have a bad word to say about Kane.
Okay.
But
okay.
He's not himself. Like we can all see it.
He's not quite himself. I mean, I do think it was a penalty in the first half, by the way.
Yeah, I do as well.
I mean,
it looked because he kind of
looked clumsy.
It.
Yeah, it looked like he just kind of fell over his feet. But actually, I think there was a touch.
I can see why they didn't give it.
Yeah, I can see that.
But
I think with VAR they would have given it. I think he should have scored the one when he hit the bar, and I think actually the worst one actually was the one after he'd scored, because he got the proverbial monkey off the back, and then he misses the simplest chance of all.
I know.
But his finish for the goal was probably the hardest one of all of those 4 chances.
Yeah, and in a way that's a good thing, right? Like, sort of.
I guess so. I don't know, but it's the media narrative around the August thing is so annoying.
There always has to be a narrative with him, doesn't there?
Like,
Like,
always,
it's
like you know, it's like they're judging him like he's a terrible player, and then you look at all his other, you know, he scored 52 goals in 59 games in last year or something.
I mean, it's interesting. The whole world class thing, I just think it's a hilarious debate that, and obviously it's a pointless phrase. You know, there's no set criteria for what a world class player is. But I do feel like if Harry Kane had a stupid haircut and loads of tattoos and was just kind of a bit more aware of his profile and his image, like a Pogba or whatever, I don't think there'd be any debate that he's world class. But because he's just a bit of an ordinary, that's a horrible word, but do you know what I mean? Like,
I think he is seen as world class now.
There's still a lot of debate about it. Seriously, like Twitter's still full of people debating.
Twitter's full of people who will say black is white.
I know, but I mean, for example, a player like Aubameyang or something. Like,
I think,
he's still held very clearly in that world class bracket.
He had some amazing misses yesterday.
He was shocking. I mean, he's
amazing misses. The first one was so brilliant.
And then Mkhitaryan did like the same thing,
and then Iwobi did the same thing again. Later on, it was brilliant. I love that.
But anyway, I think Kane, I mean, to be honest with you, I think it's probably to our advantage. I think probably the part of the reason he hasn't had that ridiculous bid come in from wherever is because he is just kind of like a slightly humble kind of...
He is, although I think...
It's a lack of ego, I think.
I think he was damaged last season by the whole goal...
Oh, for sure.
...at Stoke. And then the whole FA taking the piss out of him... For being in Smalling's pocket. I think there has been a shift, because I think he is a very, you said, kind of honest or open, you know, straightforward.
He's just a normal person.
Yeah, which is
like, you know,
which is great.
Totally.
And I think, he scores shitloads of goals, and he will continue to do that. And I think he's brilliant. So keep going, Harry.
Absolutely.
Anything else to take away from?
I think we should talk about Toby. I think I think that was kind of surprising to see him in the starting lineup, and I thought he was brilliant. And Pochettino has made some comments about how all the players that played are players, as far as he's concerned, are committed and don't want to leave. I mean, none of us know what's happening there. No. I would just love to see Toby come and sign that contract now. Like, it would
be amazing, right?
It would be amazing. I don't think it's, apparently, again, how much you believe these things that you hear on sort of Twitter and such, but apparently he did want to sign it after he didn't get his move, but he'd fallen out with the club at that point, so that's why that didn't happen. So it could be if the bridges have been mended. I mean, but I would love to see, and I think we'll get a clue in the next few days, because you know, there's still talk of him going to Bayern Munich or something like that.
Yeah, we'll see. We've still got the whole trend of the European transfer window to get there. The Italian one's gone now. I think it's just it'll be Spain and Germany of the two. I mean, I was looking at some analysis of the passing of Vertonghen out of Ariel and Sanchez.
I saw that.
Yeah, on Cartilage free captain, and it was really interesting. And just, you know, Jan's lots of passing, but all very safe. Whereas Toby's obviously the slightly more expansive. We did miss that last season.
Yeah.
The longer passes, trying to free people up. He had that great, for a few seasons, had a great kind of relationship with Ali in terms of being on, say, wavelength, doing those long ball. Ali's, you know, really, because Ali's runs are brilliant, and he can see them. So I think that is a great bonus for us. Interestingly though, like, we talk about 3-5-2. When he changed it, which we haven't really talked about, he brought Dembele on and took Sanchez off. Like, we were a lot more comfortable.
I think those, I've been very critical of Pochettino's
I was going to say that exact thing.
Substitutions in the past, but yesterday they were absolutely spot on. Dembele and Lamela were both absolutely phenomenal.
Winks coming on the last minute.
Yeah,
was brilliant as well.
even that was great as well. Yeah, and I think actually Dembele, I wonder if that's going to be a role for him this season.
Super role. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, just kind of the experience, the composure.
I think we were chasing. It was 1-1 at the time, and yes, it seemed like a comfortable win when you look at the result and the stats after the game. But with 15 minutes to go, we were looking at a draw against a newly promoted team.
Yeah.
Against which Pochettino has an amazing record, by the way.
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I mean, it's an incredible record against.
I hate it when they talk about those records before the game.
Oh yeah.
Is it just?
Well, we have the whole thing about
Yeah, jinxing.
Yeah, we have a lot of jinxing, lack of jinxing chat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, that's for another day. It was great to see us kind of coming. I mean, the real test. No disrespect to Newcastle and Fulham, but they're mid to lower table teams. Man United next week.
Yeah, that's obviously
tough game.
Yeah.
On the Monday night. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, I think we've got every reason to have a bit of confidence with it. We've been doing better there in recent seasons.
When you say every reason, under Pochettino we haven't scored a goal against Manchester United away from home.
Right. Yeah. Okay. It's not every reason.
That's one reason, not one.
That's the exception.
It will be an interesting. I think that will be they're always really tight.
The thing is about that game these days is there was a time when Man U absolutely loved playing us. There was that classic Roy Keane quote where in his book where I think it was Roy Keane where he was talking about how Fergie.
It's Fergie saying lads it's Tottenham.
He used to go lads it's Tottenham, and that was it. That was the team talk. Exactly. But
it was true.
But exactly, it was true. But these days, I think those teams really worry about playing us.
Yeah, of course they do. That's why they go so defensive.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why they sit there and go, we're just going to play on the counter attack because they're worried about us. I'll be interested to see whether he plays more away from home against Man United. I think he might go. I think he might play Lamella.
I was thinking he might play Lamella. I think his aggression might be kind of a good thing in that game. Yeah. Yellow card in the first 5 minutes, and then
that would nullify him completely.
Yeah.
But yeah, 6 points. We can't really ask for more than that. And then we kind of need to get through to that. Yeah, get through to the international break and then see where we are. And I'm still hopeful that in January we're going to pull something out of the bag.
Yeah.
From a transfer perspective.
Well, on that note, I think I do because there are Pochettino has said if people want to leave, they can leave. And he's sort of implied there may still be players to go in this window, and Rose in particular is looking like PSG.
Well, Llorente wasn't even on the bench last night. I can see him going back to Spain.
Yeah, I saw. I think I saw him linked with. It might even have been West Ham. I think he was being linked with yesterday.
Can't go to West Ham.
Yeah, I mean,
you can't go to West Ham.
Oh yeah, no, that's true. No, but he was being linked with West Ham like yesterday, maybe for January or something. Weird.
That's an example of a team that spent a lot of money, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, at the moment,
it's only 2 games.
I know, and at the moment, everything seems to be sort of validating a winner. Like I say, that can very, very quickly change.
In a heartbeat.
But I mean, I think right now we're certainly seeing the benefits of not having to bed in new players.
Yeah. It's a good thing. Bournemouth as well, the other team. When you look at Eddie Howe's been there for however long, they have their team barely changes.
Yeah.
Bournemouth is Bournemouth, and they had a bit of a strange season last season. But there's something to be said about having a team that exactly where people play, and if no player is kind of left out from a sense of if they are committed. If Rose on the bench, it sounds like he's committed because Pochettino wouldn't put him in. And then Nkudu, Llorente, maybe they're not as seen as committed.
Yeah, and Janssen, unfortunately, I think has
injured himself. So that's not going to happen either.
Yeah, it's a real shame that it was a bit mean that he didn't even get a number. But yeah, anyway, it is what it is. I think got every reason to look forward to Monday night.
Yeah, let's see.
So I think that more or less wraps it up.
That's it, yeah. Bit of admin.
So
love a bit of admin.
We have done a podcast version. There were some people saying they kind of like the idea of seeing our faces, but actually in reality
we're made for podcasts.
Not so good faces for radio. So there is a podcast version of the show. We're sort of doing our best to try and get it back up on the old Apple feed. but that seems to be taking a bit of time for some reason. But I'll provide links on the Twitter to the sort of temporary home of the podcast version as well. But otherwise, you know, the YouTube's where it's at these days. So subscribe to the channel so you don't miss one.
Yeah. And
you can follow us at Cock on Ball Twitter.
Yeah. Dave's been doing a lot of chat with people this week.
Yeah.
I've done very little.
I've been twittering like Donald Trump this week. I've been just on it, sad.
Slightly more offensive than Donald Trump, some of your tweets.
Yeah.
And I hope you enjoy it.
Yeah, and thanks for watching and listening as ever. It's good to be back.
Until next time, come on you Spurs.
Come on you Spurs.